Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakwadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the Akim who are tuning into these videos. And in this video, I wanted to speak about this article that you see on the screen. And the title of it says, Israel launches Gideons' chariots offensive to seize Gaza territory as death toll soars. And this article was posted today, May 17th, 2025. And with this article, it shows that that state of Israel is not under the rules and regulations of war, like how we are as Americans or other countries that are part of NATO and the EU. You see, the state of Israel isn't exactly assigned onto all of those deals and legislations and partnerships that NATO and the EU has. And all these people are going to start getting mad at the whore of Babylon, which is America, because Israel and America are basically just going around the world doing whatever they can, whenever they can. But specifically, the small hats, the state of Israel, since they're not signed to those treaties, the rules and regulations of war don't apply to them. That's why they're able to just go down to Gaza and seize all that territory, however they want to do it. Since they're not under those laws of war, they could basically just go there, and it's going to be like shooting fish in a barrel. Very easy for them to do that. Now, I'm going to read some of this article just to show like part of this campaign, which they're deeming it Gideon's chariots. And so, like a little fact about in the military talk, when they give a title to an offensive, or they have a name for the campaign, like Operation Iraqi Freedom, people who were in that time got an award for that, and they were trained for a specific job and type of thing. And then years later, it turned into Operation Enduring Freedom, and it had a different MO, different job, different situation, but pretty much it was the same thing. It was war. It's just they had a different agenda behind it. And with this agenda, with this campaign, is basically them just going in there to seize more territory. That's their main objective this time. And all these people are going to get an award for that. They're going to get a medal for being a part of this campaign. It's just showing you that these are the things that Yahweh Shai was speaking about. Wars and rumors of wars. To the point where these small hats are going to aggravate all these people. They're under these peace treaties and rules and stipulations amongst each other. But Amalek is just able to do whatever he wants to do, whenever he wants to do. And it's America, Babylon the Great, the whore, and it's riding the beast system. And Amalek is not a part of NATO and the EU, but then since it's America and Israel doing these things, these other nations that are signed up to them are going to start to get mad. That's why you see Turkey, they don't want to sign in with them, and you got Russia, they're making their own team, the BRICS nations. It's because you can see that all these things that America and Israel are doing are just out of pocket, and ultimately are leading the world to World War III. So I'm going to read this article a little fast. So from right here, it says the Gaza Strip, and what is being described as one of the deadliest escalations yet, the Israeli military has launched a massive ground and air campaign under the name Gideon's Chariots, a biblical-sounding operation aimed at conquering Gaza and placing it under full Israeli control. The operation, approved by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Security Cabinet on May 5th, marks the first official declaration of Israel's intent to seize and retain the entire Palestine territory of Gaza, a move that's being widely condemned as open occupation. And that's Esau Edom's MO. He covets fields and takes them by violence. So this devil hasn't changed, and he's not going to. So continuing on from this article, from this paragraph, it says, in the past 24 hours, the Israeli army claimed to have made the first moves of its campaign, launching extensive bombardments and deploying ground forces to seize what is called strategic access to Gaza. According to the Israeli statement, Operation Gideon's chariots intends to fulfill all of Israel's war goals, including the release of hostages and the defeat of Hamas. But the brutality on the ground tells a different story. In just 3 days, over 370 Palestinians have been killed, according to Gaza's health ministry. On Friday alone, at least 74 Palestinians, most of them women and children, were confirmed dead. The Indonesian hospital in Biet, Latia, reported receiving 30 bodies and dozens more injured as Israeli bombs rained down on densely populated neighborhoods. In one of the most harrowing nights, Israel reportedly dropped over 40 U.S.-made bunker buster bombs near the European hospital in Khan Yunis, claiming to target underground resistant tunnels. So here, I just want to point out that they're aiming for buildings and structures. When America was in Iraq, they didn't have that reign and leniency. Yeah, they did topple a bunch of cities down, but it wasn't to the point where they were just aiming at schools and hospitals, because they just say that that's the place where the enemy is at, so they're just allowed to blow it up. There's rules and regulations in war, and Israel, the state of Israel, are not under those rules and regulations. That's why they're just able to mow down all these people, hundreds of people within 3 days. That's a good momentum, if you will. And then even they're bombing neighborhoods, and specifically, those bombs are U.S.-made bunker busters. That's the American taxpayer. While this place is toppling and crumbling, all these businesses are going all these places are going out of business. You got all of our money going to the war effort. That's really what Esau Edom's blessing is. He's not going to do anything to help anybody. He's only going to do it in his power to steal, kill, slaughter, and rape. That's his MO. That's his devil. And this right here is going to start getting the people riled up some more. If you remember a few years back, around October, they started doing these things, shooting down the schools and stuff, just like how they were doing in these recent days. A lot of the people in America were protesting, and now all of a sudden people know what the Palestinian flag looks like, because before that no one knew where to point Israel or Palestine on the map. But now people are a little bit more privy to that fact, and this is just going to entice, it's like not entice, but expedite the government to start cracking down on people, because the people don't want this war to happen, but ultimately Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai wills this war to happen. It's going to happen no matter what, because of prophecy. This place is going to be dragging all these people into war, because the least of the flock, which I'm going to read it right here in Jeremiah 50:4, is going to start stepping on toes and just doing all these things that all these other countries are just going to have to force their hand. So this is in Jeremiah 50:45. Therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord. So this is of the Lord's will. It's in his hands that he changes and moves the people in power, all the puzzle pieces, all the chess pieces. I mean, he's the one who's moving them. And he's hardening the hearts of these leaders so that they do these things. And so there here it says, therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, that he hath taken against Babylon, and his purpose that he hath purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. And so the least of the flock, being the state of Israel, is going to do these things to the point where the beast that rides, the whore that rides the beast, NATO and EU, they're going to start bumping heads with each other, so that World War III actually happens. This is something, we're speaking out on the highways and hedges, and people raise their eyebrows and they say that that's never going to happen. But a few years back, they were saying the exact same thing when we were showing them the missiles that had the USSR on it. They were saying that that's never going to happen. But as we can see in the news, Russia is pretty much fed up with what's going on in those countries. You got Israel basically seizing territory. And that's why they're forming the BRICS, so they can go up against these people. And Germany also is mad at America. You could just look at all of what's going on, even during when Biden was president. The pipeline that blew up over there on the east side where Russia was at, that wasn't the Russians. That was an American operation. So all these things that America and Israel are doing, it's gonna start stepping on toes, and they're gonna basically bring all these people to the valley of Yahushua, because that is the Lord's will, that when Yahushua returns, there's already going to be a fire kindled down here. There's not going to be people wanting to go to war. That's why within the state of America, there's going to be lockdowns. There's going to be, I forget how you say the word, when the military is in charge, and there's not going to be any voting. There's not going to be any like free will down here. There's going to be, I forget the word, of like draconian measures. There's going to be curfews. That's the word I was thinking, on the people of America, and they're just going to rebel. To the ones who don't want to get with the program, they're going to be sent to camps. They're going to be sent to prisons. They're going to be put on lists, watch lists. If you go into what Rex 84 is, it's literally written down for anybody who's going up against what the government wants to do. They're going to be put on that list. You could read up on Rex 84 yourself. But all these things, it's already written on paper in the American government and all of the plans that they're about to enact. But also, it's written in the scriptures that this is going to take place. It is of the Lord's will that this is going to happen. So this is in Revelation 17 and 16. It says, actually, I'll read a little bit above. This is in Revelation 17, and I'll start at verse 15. It says, "And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are people and multitudes and nations and tongues." And so specifically, the mystery Babylon is this place here in America, where Judah and Ephraim are serving their captivity. We're enslaved here. This is the place, the land of the north, where we're going to be delivered. And so while we're down here in captivity, while this devil is doing all this crazy stuff around the world, this right here is synonymous to what America in modern times is doing, because the whore sitteth on the waters of all these nations. Here in America, that it fulfills that. You have Moab, Ammon, Ishmael, Elam, Hamites, of all types of nations here on earth. Well, like here in America, I should say. And so you got all these multitudes and nations and tongues, because all the people come here to America to get rich, ultimately off the backs of the so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans. And here it is, we've been here the longest, but all these other heathen nations can come over here to get a leg up in society. So in verse 16 it says, "And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For the Most High Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of the Most High shall be fulfilled." See, the Heavenly Father has it in these leaders' minds to do this, and they're going to burn this place with fire and brimstone. That's how this is going to take place with World War III. All right, in verse 18 it says, "And the women which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth," which is basically America, Mystery Babylon. And the last precepts I want to read here is in Joel 3, and I'm going to start this at verse 9. It says, "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears, let the weak say, I am strong." And this means that all these other nations, it's like we always bring up North Korea, because they put all their money, resources, and infrastructures into war so they can come up against the beast, go to toe with the beast. And they're able to now because they have thermonuclear missiles. They can't be bullied like how they used to be. And all these other nations, even nations amongst the NATO and the EU treaties, are going to toe-to-toe against the beast, or Slagi, the whore, America. Because they're drawing out all this tension and just doing things that it doesn't benefit all these other people. So in verse 10 again, it says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. So now all these people are going to take up arms. They're going to stop doing all their side activities and put all their power into war, getting all their resources into weaponry. Verse 11, assemble yourselves and come all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, or the valley of Yehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. In Yehoshaphat, that's the valley of judgment, the valley of decision, because that's where all these heathens are going to get that judgment. And so in verse 13, it says, put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get ye down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. And this is what's going to happen in World War III. All these heathens are just going to go bump heads over there in the valley of Yehoshaphat, which is in the Middle East. And for us, the so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, we're basically told to stand down. This is not our fight. Our fight is a spiritual warfare and a job to take care of the flock, because we're basically building a spiritual ark so that we can be protected from this third world war. And that's ultimately being done through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, sealing the elect, speaking about these things, and so that we can basically get this understanding and be stable in these times, so that we're not losing our minds or pulling our hair when these things are going to happen. We're letting you know that these things are going to happen. Hard times are about to come. It's going to be very hard out here to just basically walk freely in the time of war. Because if you remember during World War I and World War II, all the people that were in America, they either had to join the war, be drafted, or be imprisoned for disputing it or not going to get for the war. They're going to be penalized for not joining the war or helping in whatever they can. And that's going to happen again, because you can see it happen. And this world war is going to be the world to end all wars, the third woe, as the scripture says. But with that, you can see that these articles, they're not going to stop coming. They're going to keep coming. Next week we're going to read on more news about the war, more news on the MOTB, more news about all the signs and the times that Yahushua was speaking about in Matthew 24. But with that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachak Wadash, Shalom Akim.